As I lay in the hospital bed, fighting for my life after a horrific car accident, the door suddenly burst open. My cruel mother-in-law stormed in, her eyes burning with rage. Without a hint of concern for my condition, she demanded that I sign over my $300,000 home to her. When I refused, in an instant, she drove her fists into my stomach with such force that a scream of agony tore from my throat. But the worst was yet to come. My 7-year-old daughter, terrified, rushed to protect me, but what my mother-in-law did to my innocent daughter was even more heartbreaking. My name is Nancy Carter, and I am 43 years old. I have been married to Adam Carter for over 10 years, and we have a beautiful 7-year-old daughter, Lily. From the outside, our family seems perfect. Adam is a hardworking and caring husband, and I have dedicated my life to creating a warm, loving home for our daughter. But behind closed doors, life in this house is far from peaceful. The reason? Vivian Carter, my mother-in-law. Vivian has always made it clear that she never wanted me as her son's wife. From the moment I married Adam, she treated me like an outsider in my own home. No matter what I did, it was never enough for her. If dinner was perfect, she would complain about the way I set the table. If I cleaned the house, she would point out a speck of dust I missed. She acted as though I was a guest in her son's house, constantly reminding me that this was Adam's home, not mine. It didn't matter that Adam and I shared responsibilities, that we were building a life together. To Vivian, I was nothing more than an inconvenience. Adam, ever the peacemaker, always told me to ignore her. She's just set in her ways, Nancy. Don't let her get to you. He loved his mother, and I didn't want to come between them, so I endured it. For years, I endured it. But Vivian wasn't just controlling. She was possessive. She believed Adam belonged to her, and she saw me as the person who had taken him away. She never accepted that Adam had his own family now, and she made sure I felt unwelcome every single day. Even our daughter, Lily, wasn't spared from Vivian's harsh attitude. If Lily played too loudly, Vivian would snap at her. If she left her toys in the living room, Vivian would scold her for being messy. I did my best to shield my daughter from her grandmother's cruelty, but I could see the confusion in Lily's eyes. She couldn't understand why her own grandmother treated her mother with such coldness. And yet, through it all, I stayed silent. I told myself that as long as Adam was with me, as long as Lily was happy, I could bear Vivian's bitterness. But I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea that everything was about to change. For years, I lived under Vivian's control, enduring her constant insults, manipulation, and belittling comments. But then, something happened that changed everything. I received an inheritance that gave me the power to break free. My father passed away, leaving me a house worth $300,000 in his will. It was a beautiful 2-story home in a quiet neighborhood, a place filled with childhood memories. More than just a house, it was security for me and Lily, a chance for a new life. The moment the inheritance was finalized, Vivian's attitude shifted drastically. For the first time in years, she stopped insulting me. She started acting strangely sweet and concerned, pretending to care about my future. But I knew her kindness wasn't real. One evening, as I was sitting in the living room folding laundry, Vivian casually brought up the inheritance. "Nancy, dear, have you thought about what you're going to do with that house?" she asked with a forced smile. I immediately tensed. I knew this was leading somewhere dangerous. I planned to keep it. It's Lily's future. Her eyes darkened for a split second, but she quickly forced her smile back. "Oh, sweetheart, that's a lot of responsibility for someone like you. Managing property isn't easy, you know." I knew exactly where this was going. "I'll manage just fine," I said firmly. Vivian sighed dramatically and leaned in, lowering her voice. "Listen to me, Nancy. The smartest thing you can do is put the house in Adam's name. That way, we can handle it properly as a family." There it was, the real reason behind her sudden concern. "We?" She didn't mean Adam. She meant herself. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "No, Vivian. This house was my father's gift to me and Lily. It stays in my name." Her smile vanished instantly. She leaned back, crossing her arms, her fake kindness dissolving into cold irritation. "You're making a big mistake, Nancy," she said sharply. "You don't know how to handle something like this. You need someone smarter, someone who knows how to take care of property. Adam, and I can make sure it's used properly." I shook my head. "I appreciate your concern, but I don't need anyone managing my home for me." Her lips pressed into a thin line, and she stood up abruptly. "You'll regret this." With that, she turned and left the room. A shiver ran down my spine. I had just refused Vivian for the first time, and I knew she wouldn't let it go. Days passed, and Vivian barely spoke to me. Her cold stares and dismissive tone made it clear she was furious that I refused to sign over my inheritance. But for the first time, I didn't care. I was finally standing up for myself. Adam, however, was completely unaware of the tension brewing between his mother and me. He had been busy with work, preparing for an important business trip overseas. One evening, as I was tucking Lily into bed, Adam walked into the room, looking exhausted. "Nancy, can we talk?" he asked, rubbing the back of his neck. I stepped out into the hallway with him. "Is everything okay?"
He sighed.
"I just got word from the company. I have to leave for an urgent business trip for at least 2 weeks." My heart sank. Adam had always been my shield against Vivian. While he never fully realized how manipulative she was, his presence kept her in check. With him gone, I would be left completely alone with her. "Do you really have to go?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He reached for my hands, holding them gently. "I wouldn't leave if it wasn't important, Nancy. This deal could set us up for years to come." I looked into his warm, reassuring eyes, knowing I couldn't be the reason he turned down such a huge opportunity. I forced a small smile. "I understand. You focus on your work, and I'll handle things here." He kissed my forehead. "That's why I love you, Nancy. You always support me." From the corner of the hallway, Vivian was watching us. The moment Adam confirmed his travel plans, I noticed something shift in her expression. There was a glint in her eyes, a look of opportunity. I tried to shake off my discomfort, but deep down, I knew something was coming. Vivian had just been given the perfect chance. Adam was leaving, and for the first time, I would be completely vulnerable. And I had no idea just how far she was willing to go. Adam left early the next morning, kissing me and Lily goodbye before heading to the airport. As he walked out the door, I felt a strange sense of unease settle in my chest. Vivian barely acknowledged his departure. She simply stood by the kitchen counter, sipping her coffee, her eyes flickering toward me with something indecipherable lurking behind them. I ignored it. I had more important things to worry about, like getting through the next 2 weeks without Adam around. That evening, I decided to take Lily with me to the grocery store. She had been asking for her favorite chocolate chip pancakes, and after the tense morning with Vivian, I figured a little mother-daughter time would lift both our spirits. "Come on, sweetheart," I said, grabbing my car keys. "Let's go get your favorite snacks." Lily beamed, grabbing her little jacket and skipping toward the car.
Yay.
Pancakes for breakfast. We got into the car, and I buckled her into the back seat before starting the drive to the store. The ride was peaceful. Lily sang softly to the radio, swinging her legs happily. For a brief moment, I let myself relax. Maybe today would be okay. I pulled into the grocery store parking lot, finding a spot close to the entrance. "Okay, Lily, stay in the car while I grab the basket," I told her. "I'll be right here." She nodded, swinging her feet as she waited. I unbuckled my seatbelt and stepped out of the car, closing the door behind me. And then everything happened too fast. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, a dark-colored car speeding straight toward me. I barely had time to react before.
Crash.
The force of the impact sent me flying backward, slamming onto the hard pavement. A sharp, blinding pain tore through my body. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Everything was a blur, screeching tires, distant gasps, and the sound of a little voice screaming my name. "Mommy." Through the haze of pain, I heard Lily's panic screams. "Help. Somebody help my mom." I tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. A burning pain spread through my ribs and legs. I wanted to reassure her, to tell her I was okay, but I couldn't even lift my head. People rushed toward me, grocery store employees, a few customers. "Call an ambulance," someone yelled. A man knelt beside me, checking my pulse. "Ma'am, stay with us. Help is on the way." Through the blurry edges of my vision, I saw Lily sobbing, her tiny hands clutching my arm. "Mommy, wake up. Please." A woman, possibly a store manager, gently pulled Lily back, rubbing her back soothingly. "It's okay, sweetie. We're getting help." Moments later, sirens blared in the distance. The paramedics arrived quickly, assessing my injuries before carefully lifting me onto a stretcher. "Possible broken ribs and leg fractures," one of them said. "She needs immediate transport." Lily refused to leave my side. "I want to go with my mommy," she cried, gripping my fingers tightly. One of the paramedics nodded gently, letting her climb into the ambulance with me. As the ambulance door shut, the last thing I saw was Lily's tear-streaked face. Then everything faded to black.
Pain.
That was the first thing I felt when I woke up. A dull, aching pain radiated from my ribs, spreading down to my legs. I tried to move, but my body refused to cooperate. Blinking against the harsh fluorescent hospital lights, I slowly became aware of my surroundings, the steady beeping of machines, the soft humming of nurses outside my room, and most importantly, the small, warm hand clutching mine. I turned my head slightly, wincing at the sharp pain in my side. Lily. She was sitting beside my hospital bed, her small fingers wrapped tightly around mine, her face pale and streaked with dried tears. The moment she saw my eyes open, she gasped, "Mommy." Relief flooded her voice, and before I could say anything, she leaned forward, hugging my arm as gently as she could. "I was so scared," she sniffled. "I thought you wouldn't wake up." I swallowed the lump in my throat, squeezing her hand as best as I could. "I'm okay, sweetheart. I'm right here." The door opened, and a nurse walked in, smiling kindly. "Mrs. Carter, you're awake. That's a good sign." She checked my and pain medication levels. "You had quite the accident, but you're stable now. Your ribs are bruised, and you have fractures in both legs. You'll need to stay in the hospital for some time." I nodded weakly, processing everything. I had been hit by a car. I was immobile in a hospital bed. Adam was still out of the country. And Vivian, a cold dread settled in my stomach. I didn't have to wonder where she was for long. An hour later, the door swung open again, and in walked Vivian Carter. She wasn't alone. In one hand, she held a bouquet of flowers, her face painted with an expression of forced sympathy. In the other, she carried a stack of papers. I tensed immediately. Vivian had never cared about me. She had barely tolerated my presence in her son's life. And now, after years of mistreating me, she was suddenly acting like a concerned mother-in-law? Something wasn't right. "Oh, Nancy, dear," she said dramatically, stepping closer to my bedside. "What a horrible accident. How are you feeling?" I forced a neutral expression. "I'm managing," she sighed, placing the flowers on the side table.
Poor thing.
"It must be so hard, being stuck in bed, unable to do anything for yourself." Her words sent a chill down my spine. She was testing the waters, reminding me how helpless I was. I didn't respond. And then she dropped the act completely. She pulled a thick envelope from her bag and placed it on my lap. I didn't have to open it to know what it was. Property transfer documents. I felt my blood run cold. "Sign these, Nancy," Vivian said, her tone now sharp and commanding. I didn't move. "What is this?" she scoffed. "Don't play dumb. It's the transfer for your father's house. You're in no condition to manage a property, so you might as well sign it over to me." I clenched my jaw. "No." Her eyes darkened instantly. The fake kindness was gone. "You are in no position to refuse." She leaned in, her voice dangerously low. "Adam isn't here to protect you. You are helpless, stuck in this hospital bed, and completely at my mercy." My fingers dug into the blanket. Vivian wasn't just trying to steal my house. She was threatening me. But I wasn't going to break. I took a deep breath, ignoring the searing pain in my ribs, and met her gaze. I will never sign those papers. Her face twisted in fury. Before I could react, Vivian grabbed my wrist and shoved the papers closer to me. Sign it, Nancy, she hissed. I tried to yank my hand away, but I was too weak. Her grip tightened. I said, sign it. When I still refused, Vivian snapped. With pure hatred flashing in her eyes, she raised her fist and punched me, hard, in the stomach. A wave of unbearable pain shot through my broken body. I gasped for air, my vision spinning. I could barely process what had just happened. And then, I heard Lily's terrified scream. Stop. Leave my mom alone. Lily had been standing at the door, holding a small juice box. Her face was pale with fear, her tiny body shaking. She dropped her juice and ran toward me, trying to shield me with her little arms. Help! Someone help my mom, she screamed at the top of her lungs. Vivian whirled around, panic flashing in her eyes. But it was too late. The hospital door burst open. A nurse and 2 security guards rushed in, their eyes widening at the scene. Step away from her, the nurse shouted. Vivian tried to compose herself, forcing a fake smile. This is a misunderstanding. I was just. But the security guards weren't buying it. One of them grabbed her arm, pulling her away from my hospital bed. Ma'am, you just assaulted a patient in a medical facility. You're being detained. Vivian struggled, thrashing in their grip. You can't do this. I was just trying to talk some sense into her. One of the nurses immediately called the police. We need officers at the hospital immediately. We have an assault case in progress. Within minutes, 2 uniformed officers entered the room, their eyes locked onto Vivian. What's going on here? One of them asked. The nurse gestured toward me, still gasping in pain, and the security guards holding onto Vivian. She punched our patient and was trying to force her to sign documents. We have multiple witnesses. One of the officers pulled out a pair of handcuffs. Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault and coercion. Vivian's face drained of color as they locked the cuffs around her wrists.
No.
You can't do this to me. I'm Adam's mother. The officer ignored her protests, leading her toward the door. As they dragged her away, she turned one last time, her eyes filled with fury. Adam will never forgive you for this, Nancy. You'll pay for this. I met her gaze, feeling no fear, no regret, only relief. No, Vivian, I whispered. This time, you're the one paying. The door slammed shut behind her. And for the first time in years, I finally felt safe. The hospital room was silent after they dragged Vivian away. I could still hear her screaming in the hallway, fighting against the security guards, but the sound grew fainter as they took her further away. I let out a shaky breath, my ribs burning with pain, but at that moment, all I could focus on was Lily. She was still standing beside my bed, her little hands clenched into fists, her big brown eyes filled with fear and confusion. I reached for her hand, pulling her close. It's okay, sweetheart, I whispered, stroking her hair gently.
She's gone.
She can't hurt us anymore. Lily sniffled, burying her face against my shoulder. I was so scared, Mommy. I closed my eyes, swallowing the lump in my throat. She shouldn't have had to see that. She shouldn't have had to watch her own grandmother turn into a monster. But at least now it was over. The nurse checked my vitals, making sure I was stable, before finally giving me some privacy. I took a deep breath and reached for my phone. Adam needed to know. I dialed his number, my hands slightly trembling. It rang twice before he picked up. Nancy? His voice was slightly groggy, a sign that I had just woken him up in the middle of the night. Is everything okay? What's wrong? I took a shaky breath. Adam, I need you to come home.
Now?
There was a pause. Then his voice immediately sharpened. What happened? I closed my eyes, feeling tears welling up. Your mother, she attacked me, Adam. In the hospital. Silence. I could hear him breathing heavily on the other end. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and dangerous. What did she do? I swallowed hard. She tried to force me to sign over my house. When I refused, she hit me. She would have done more if Lily hadn't screamed for help. Another long, heavy pause. And then I heard movement. "I'm booking the first flight home," Adam said, his voice sharp with fury. "Stay where you are. I'll be there soon." Less than 24 hours later, Adam burst into my hospital room. He looked exhausted from travel, but his eyes burned with anger and concern. "Nancy," he said, his voice softening as he rushed to my side. He took my hand, his thumb brushing gently over my knuckles. "Are you okay?" I nodded weakly. "I will be. But Adam, she's gone too far this time." His jaw clenched. "Where is she now?" I exhaled slowly. "She's in police custody." I pressed charges. He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded. "Good." There was no hesitation, no denial, no excuses. For the first time, I saw it in his eyes. He was done protecting her. Adam sat beside me, his grip on my hand firm and reassuring. "She's going to pay for this," he said quietly. "We'll make sure of it." I looked at him, uncertain. You believe me?"
His gaze softened.
"Nancy, I've always believed you. I just never thought she would go this far. But I see it now. I see exactly who she is." I swallowed hard, relief washing over me. "I want her to face real consequences, Adam."
My voice was firm now.
"I'm pressing full charges. I want her to pay for everything she's done." He nodded. "Then we'll get the best lawyer. I'll handle everything. She won't get away with this." For the first time since the accident, I felt truly safe. Vivian had spent years trying to break me down, trying to make me feel small. But now, I had something she could never take away: justice. And I was going to make sure she paid for every single thing she had done. With Adam fully on my side, I finally felt like I had the strength to fight back. The very next morning, Adam contacted one of the best lawyers in town, Emma Reynolds, a sharp, no-nonsense attorney who specialized in domestic abuse and fraud cases. When she arrived at the hospital to meet me, she got straight to the point. "Nancy, I've reviewed the security footage and the medical reports," she said, flipping through a thick file. "Your mother-in-law isn't just facing assault charges. This is attempted coercion and financial fraud. We have enough evidence to ensure she gets the maximum sentence." Adam sat beside me, his jaw clenched tightly. "I want her prosecuted to the full extent of the law," he said firmly. "No leniency. She has to pay for what she did to my wife." Hearing those words from him made my chest tighten with emotion. For years, I had dealt with Vivian's cruelty alone. Now, for the first time, I had someone fighting with me, not against me. Emma laid out the evidence we had. Hospital surveillance footage of Vivian assaulting me. Witness testimonies from the nurse, security guards, and hospital staff. Medical records proving the extent of my injuries. Lily's recorded statement, which Emma assured me would be handled delicately since she was a minor. Vivian's history of trying to manipulate and control my finances. With all this stacked against her, Vivian was looking at serious legal consequences. A week later, the court hearings began. Vivian's lawyer tried everything, claiming she had a moment of frustration, that she was just a concerned mother-in-law, that I was exaggerating the attack. But Emma tore every argument apart. "This isn't about frustration," she told the judge. "This is about years of calculated emotional and physical abuse. This is about power, control, and greed. My client was attacked in a hospital bed, weak, defenseless, and recovering from a life-threatening accident. There is no excuse for this." I watched Vivian squirm in her seat, her face pale with fear. For the first time, she had lost control. When Adam took the stand, everyone in the courtroom went silent. He looked directly at the judge, his voice steady and firm. "My mother has controlled my wife for years," he admitted. "I was blind to it, but now I see the damage she's caused. She nearly destroyed my family, and she deserves to face the consequences." His words sealed Vivian's fate. She turned to Adam in horror, tears welling in her eyes. "Adam, I'm your mother," she whispered, her voice cracking. He didn't even look at her. After several days of testimony, the judge delivered the final verdict. Vivian was found guilty of aggravated assault and financial coercion. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. She was ordered to pay $50,000 in damages, including my medical expenses and emotional distress. The moment the gavel struck, I felt a weight lift off my chest. Vivian had finally lost. As the guards led her out of the courtroom, she turned to look at me one last time. "You think you've won, Nancy," she sneered. "You'll regret this." I met her gaze without fear. "No, Vivian," I said softly. "For the first time, I'm free." She disappeared behind the courtroom doors. And I knew I would never see her again. The day after the trial, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. For so long, I had lived under Vivian's shadow, enduring her cruelty, her insults, and her attempts to control my life. But now, she was gone, locked away where she could never hurt me or Lily again. And for the first time, I was free. With Adam by my side, I packed the last of my things from the house I had once shared with him and Vivian. The house never truly felt like mine. It had always been Vivian's territory, filled with her rules, her presence, and her control. Now I was moving to my own home, the house my father left me, the house that no one could ever take away from me again. When I arrived at my new home, I stepped inside and took a deep breath. It felt different from the house I had left behind. There were no suffocating rules, no fear of being watched or criticized, no feeling of being a guest in my own life. This house was mine, and I would build a new life here with Lily and Adam. Lily ran from room to room, her laughter filling the empty space. "Mommy, I love our new house," she squealed, twirling in the living room. I smiled, watching her. For the first time, she looked truly happy. She wouldn't have to live under her grandmother's constant disapproval. She wouldn't have to witness me being mistreated ever again. Here, she would grow up in a house filled with love and peace. That evening, as we sat in the living room, Adam reached for my hand. "Nancy," he said softly, "I know I should have seen what my mother was doing to you sooner. I should have protected you better." I looked at him, seeing the guilt in his eyes. He had finally realized the damage Vivian had caused. I squeezed his hand. "What matters is that you stood by me when it counted." He nodded, his grip tightening around mine. "I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I smiled. For the first time in a long time, I believed him. As I sat on my new couch in my new home, with my daughter's laughter filling the air, I knew that my old life was behind me. I had my own home. I had my daughter safe and happy. I had a husband who finally saw the truth and supported me. Most importantly, I had my freedom. Vivian tried to take everything from me, but she failed. I survived. And now I would thrive. As I closed my eyes that night, I made a promise to myself. I would never let anyone control me again.
Not now.
Not ever. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like this video. Your support means the world to me. A comment below and let me know your thoughts. Have you ever faced a similar situation? How did you overcome it? Let's start a conversation and support each other. Subscribe to my channel for more powerful stories of resilience, justice, and survival. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with my latest videos. Your support keeps this community growing. Together, we can create a space of strength, hope, and empowerment. Thank you for being a part of this journey. See you in the next video.